Fatal Frame 2 is one of the most famous and beloved horror games of the PS2 era. For many, it is the pinnacle of Japanese horror, of ghost stories and secret terrors, of a sibling bond twisted into a nightmare. For all that it is beloved, however, much of its narrative remains a mystery to the outsider, because so much of its lore and world-building is near invisible to those outside Japan. I myself was surprised when I dug into the game just how much I'd been missing. Little pieces of a puzzle that clicked into place and gave me a greater admiration for the game which, until recently, had been my least favorite of the series. Now I'd be hesitant to name one of them as the least. For me, Fatal Frame stands alongside Silent Hill, as a series in which I simply adore each and every title. Here are the secrets of Fatal Frame 2, and the folklore and traditions which inspire them. The story begins with two girls, twin sisters, spirited away to All Gods Village, or Minakamimura. Mayu remembers hearing about the legend of the Lost Village. Every villager killed in a single night. It's very similar to the Japanese internet legend of Sugisawa Village, a popular myth in the late 90s and early 2000s. The name Minakamimura implies this is a place where all the gods and spirits are gathered, and Mio and Mayu are going to join them. The twins' full names are Mio and Mayu Amakura, Ama being a term for heaven and the gods. Amaterasu's name contains the same kanji, and many gods of the Shinto pantheon use the word in their titles. The kura is a kanji used to refer to a storehouse or warehouse. It can mean to hide, conceal, or reserve. Together, you might interpret their names to mean a concealed heaven or hidden gods. Mayu carries a charm which resembles a Shinto magatama, a holy stone associated with the goddess Amaterasu. In Japanese, the stone is called Mayu no Omamori, which is a kind of Shinto protective talisman. This may be a village for gods, not humans, but it seems Mio and Mayu are not exactly out of place. Mio's name can refer to a waterway, or to the wake that is left behind on the water's surface. She is following in the wake of her sister. She is what is left behind. Mayu's name means cocoon. She is in the midst of transformation, about to become a butterfly. The ritual which will transform her is the Crimson Sacrifice Ritual, or Beni Nisai. The term Nisai refers to an offering to the gods, with the Beni kanji being a variation of the color red. The ritual is based off of the Shinto tradition of Kami Okuri, a ritual to send away the gods. When there is a plague or a disaster, a ritual may be performed as a send-off to the god of the plague in hopes of ending the situation. The people gather together, an exorcism is performed, and a representation of the god is sent away in a small boat down the local river. There are many variations, but they all center on sending off a god. The butterfly is a beautiful yet short-lived creature, delicate and easily destroyed. It has become a symbol of impermanence and the fragility of life. A Chinese Taoist wrote a treatise in which he described how he dreamt he was a butterfly, only to awaken and remember his current reality. It led him to wonder, was he a human dreaming of being a butterfly, or a butterfly dreaming of being human? The imagery has been embedded in Eastern culture. The butterfly is a symbol of something effervescent as a dream, which is itself much like life, short and beautiful and gone in an instant. It is ethereal and otherworldly, and since butterflies are created via transformation from one life form to another, they are closely associated with the idea of reincarnation, and thus often represent the souls of the deceased. They can bring messages to the living from the dead, and ward off bad luck. While these deceased spirits are the dead sacrificed, they do in essence promote good luck and prosperity, so long as the village continues the sacrifices and adds to the butterflies. The darkness that stems from the abyss will be kept at bay, and while Mio explores the village, the butterflies lead her in the right direction. There are 5 families at the heart of the narrative: the Tachibana, Kurosawa, Kiryu, Tsuchihara, and Osaka. Lore says that the Kurosawa were the primary family, while the other 4 were branch families, meaning they were descendants of the older clan who became independent. Each had a role in the village and the secret ritual. It just so happens these clans mirror the 4 major kuge, or clans of early Japanese history: the Minamoto, Tachibana, Taira, and Fujiwara. You'll notice one of them even has the same name. These 4 noble clans were the most influential and powerful of their time. The association between the Kurosawa and the 4 lesser clans may be meant to mirror the historical imperial clan and 4 noble clans. As Mio and Mayu explore the village, they'll come across the remnants of these clans, and the secrets of the lost village will start to unfold. The Osaka clan household is the first to be explored in Fatal Frame 2. The name probably brings to mind the Japanese city, but the kanji are different and reference an older historical place. The literal translation is Meeting Hill, and it refers to a checkpoint outside of Kyoto, the old capital, which was once a significant landmark for people coming and going from the city. It's written about in countless poems, often as a place for separated lovers to unite, or for lovers who are separating to say goodbye. The Osaka house is the first place Mio and Mayu explore, and it is where they find 2 lost souls: a young man who stumbled into the village on accident, and the woman who came looking for him. They meet once again at the Meeting Hill, but unfortunately this reunion becomes a tragedy. Masumi Makimura's last name contains the kanji for an evergreen tree. In Hanakotoba, or Japanese flower language, the tree is symbolic of compassion and unfading love. Because the tree is green year-round, even in the harsh depths of winter, it represents a love that never fades. Masumi's first name means clarity or clear, and in relation to Japanese tradition has some significance. The idea of being clear and bright is heavily associated with the divine. The holiest beings and objects are described as clear, clean, and bright. This is a good young man, someone whose conscience is clear and heart is constant and in love, and it is he who will end the life of his beloved at Osaka, the fabled meeting place for lovers of old. Inside the Osaka house, you'll find a certain image appears in the background, hanging from the drapes on the outside of wooden chests. It's the same symbol that appears on a key in the game, found in the Osaka house, which opens a door in the same building. The round image resembles a Japanese clan crest, a mon or kamon, and they appear throughout Fatal Frame 2. The term kamon even appears in the game. It's translated as crest, referring to the pinwheel crests the player finds. Each is associated with a family, and it seems the ginger crest belongs to the Osaka. The ginger is miyoga, a common crest symbol. It was a popular plant among warriors because its kanji could be read as divine protector, so it was often a clan symbol for samurai. The Osaka family are called the gatekeepers of Minakamimura in supplemental material, so it's likely they were the closest thing to an armed force the village had. The next clan household Mio enters belongs to the Kurosawa, and to reach it she must cross the Whispering Bridge. It's likely named for a real-world Whispering Bridge, though one that's nowhere near as long, at only 90 centimeters. It's home to a ghost story set in the ancient past, in which a tragic pair of lovers are tied up and drowned in a river. After their deaths, anyone crossing the bridge was said to hear them whispering. This may be why the player can take a picture of Sunken Woman here. In Japanese, she is called Drowned Woman. The central family, the Kurosawa, use the butterfly as their family crest, and in the game textures you can find a sideways red butterfly that resembles the historical Taira Komon. There's a possible connection between the two. Some sources claim a Kurosawa family as a line of descendants from the ancient Taira clan. Resources were scant and not available in English, so I can't be sure, but it paints an interesting historical source for the in-game lore. The Taira are part of an infamous era of Japanese history, a time of endless wars and tragedy, which led to the complete destruction of the Taira clan in a battle at sea. The story has become the stuff of legends, retold in countless varieties over the years, and the Taira themselves have become figures of tragedy and loss. Inside the Kurosawa house, we see the memory of the repentance, the consequence for the failed ritual at the heart of this game. It is the repentance, as the people of the village must repent for failing to hold back the darkness. In Japanese, it is specifically the Great Repentance, using the kanji for great or large. It shares its name with the traditional Japanese kagura, or religious dance, from the Mount Hayachine area. It's a tradition going back centuries and was named a national treasure in 1976. The performance consists of 2 sets of 6 dances, one of which is called Otsugunai Kagura. It's performed in honor of the goddess of the mountain, Seoritsu, a Shinto goddess of purification. The repentance comes at the hands of one of the sacrifices, Sae Kurosawa, dressed in a white kimono stained with blood. Both her name and her sister's include the kanji for twofold or multiple. In Sae's name, you also find the kanji for silk. The term refers to a specific kind of thin silk used for making kimonos in the Heian era. The craft was done by threading 2 thin pieces of silk together. Yae's name is written this way in Japanese. The first kanji is the symbol for 8. Together it means eightfold, a number with heavy significance in Shinto history. It appears throughout the Kojiki and Nihon Shoki, Japan's oldest texts. In the texts, the gods create the Oyashimi, or 8 islands of Japan, possibly the origin of the importance of the number. From there, it is used in the names of countless gods and demons. Susanoo fights an 8-headed monster, the gods number in the 88 thousands. The word eightfold itself appears throughout the Kojiki. Consider this line spoken by Susanoo. At Izumo, where eightfold clouds rise, an eightfold fence, I build an eightfold fence to conceal my bride, that eightfold fence. The word yae can also refer to a special type of plant in Japanese, refers to double bloom flowers, or plants that bloom with layers of petals on top of one another. Once Mio escapes Sae and begins exploring the house, she finds the diamond stack key. It too is a kamon or crest symbol. The diamond crests are associated with a plant called the water caltrop, known for growing in water, especially swamps. The literal translation for the name Kurosawa is black swamp. The second key in this level is the hammer key. It contains the Yatsusuchi Kuruma, or 8-hammer vehicle crest, a kemon that represents the carriages used by the nobility of the Heian period. While exploring the house, the twins find the prison cell that once held Seijiro Makabe, the chosen sacrifice for the cutting ritual. His last name refers to an old-fashioned Japanese style of architecture in which the beams of a wall are left visible. The literal translation is truth wall. The ritual to create the kusabi is called the hidden ceremony compared to the visible ceremony, or in Japanese, kage matsuri. In Shinto tradition, a kage matsuri is a minor festival held every other year, as opposed to the more important main festival. The minor ritual in this game is the cutting ritual, in which a victim is cut and maimed until they are driven mad by the pain and then sacrificed to the abyss. The Japanese name of the ritual is a play on words. It is the Masogi no Gishiki, or ritual of sacrifice. The mi kanji refers to oneself, and the rest of the word is a verb indicating to cut, chip, or thin down. The way it's read sounds like the word misogi, which is a Shinto ritual of cleansing, one of the most important elements of the tradition. It is a form of ritual purification using water. In the end of Fatal Frame 2, it is the water of the dam which will finally purify and seal off this place. The ritual takes place in the rope temple. You can see a bowl on the altar below, likely intended to catch blood. In Japanese, the temple is called Nawa no Mido, or Rope Enshrinement Hall. In Buddhist tradition, a Mido is a place that a Buddha's spirit is enshrined, making this a ritual meant to enshrine a Buddha. The cutting ritual creates the kusabi, a horrible creature tied up in ropes in a way that looks particularly uncomfortable. His name uses the kanji for wedge. It can also refer to a tie or a bond. The kusabi is meant to be the insert or tie that keeps the abyss shut when other tactics fail. Unfortunately, this time, it does not work. Leaving the Kurosawa house and seeking a new way forward, Mio comes into contact with the Mourners for the first time. Blinded men who are trapped in the underground, never to leave. The Japanese term used is imijin, combining a general term for a person with the word for mourning, abhorrence, or the anniversary of a death. It's the same kanji used in the title of the taboo tome. It also seems to be a general term for someone who worships the gods, a Shinto priest, according to some sources. Given what I've found, this may be another word intended to have a double meaning. The mourners are kept underground, which is the traditional land of the dead in Japan. Yomi, the hellish afterlife. They are forcibly blinded due to exposure to the pit, though other notes also imply their eyes are sewn shut. Blindness as a protection against the other world is common in Japanese myth, most famously in the story of Hoichi the Earless, the blind biwa player, who unknowingly performed before the ghosts of the Taira clan. Each night an envoy would come and invite him to perform. At first he agreed, not knowing he was speaking to a ghost. Once he knew, it was dangerous to say no. Hoichi sought a priest for help, who covered the performer in sutras written on his skin to keep him from being seen by the ghost. Unfortunately, the man forgot to write on his ears, so the ghost cut Hoichi's ears off, though the man survived. The veiled priests of the village have black writing on them in the same style as Hoichi. The writing is known as siddham, an ancient form of Sanskrit which is used by many Japanese Buddhist texts. The same writing appears on the camera obscura. The Kiryu House is the next place Mio explores. The kanji for the Kiryu name contains the symbol for the paulownia, which is the name of a key. The paulownia is a Japanese tree with heavy historical significance. The tree grows in a unique way. Its leaves grow in opposite decussate pairs. The leaves mirror one another at right angles, each one set of a pair. It is one of the 10 major family crests, appearing as a symbol on the kamon or crests of many prominent clans, including the imperial family, the Ashikaga, and Toyotomi clans. It's a very quick-growing tree. It was tradition in the noble families to plant one when a daughter was born. By the time the girl was fully grown and ready to marry, the tree would be full-grown as well, and could be made into a marriage chest for the young bride. Thus, the tree earned its name, the princess tree. It was also used in the making of traditional Japanese dolls, and it is the Kiryu family who are the doll makers in Fatal Frame 2. The second kanji in the Kiryu name is sei, which can mean life or living, making their name something akin to living paulownia, maybe a reference to the doll made of paulownia wood which comes to life. Both of the twin girls in the Kiryu family have plants in their name. Akane shares her name with the Rubia cordifolia, the Indian madder, used for centuries to create red dye. Its interpretation in Japanese flower language is very dark, however. It means servile compliance, think of me, slander or verbal abuse, or physical cuts and scars. Akane is one of the remaining. In Japanese, an oniseki. The term oni can refer to a demon or evil spirit, a ghost, or simply a deceased person. And seki is a counter term used to refer to one of a pair. Her sister Azami shares her name with the thistle, a thorny plant that in Japan is a symbol of severity, authority, as well as distance and detachment. Together it presents a rather accurate image of the twin girls. The sacrifice Azami, commanding her sister to finish killing her, even as Akane struggles to do it. Akane left behind, falling into depression, as she hadn't wanted to kill her sister but did so at the girl's command. Ironically, this servile behavior becomes dangerous later on, when Akane takes the doll of Azami as her new sister and begins to listen to her commands. The last of the clan households Mio enters is the Tachibana. The central member of the family the player meets is Itsuki, a rare instance of a somewhat normal, helpful ghost in the village. His name contains the kanji for tree, though it may also be a play on words, as it sounds similar to the verb itsuku, meaning to worship or enshrine. His brother's name, Mutsuki, contains the kanji for harmony, and the name is also the ancient term for the first month of the Japanese lunar year. It was also known as the month of love and affection, as a time when family was meant to come together. The twins' little sister Chitose's name means 1,000 years, perhaps referencing how long she's been waiting for her family to return. Her stone, the red-spotted crystal, may relate to rose quartz, a stone which must be kept out of the light to ensure it retains its color. Leaving the Tachibana house brings Mio and Mayu to a great old tree, the secret passage out of the village, called Kuchiki in Japanese, which is specifically a decayed or rotted tree. Inside, they discover the pinwheel puzzle, which requires finding 5 crests in the village. The name for the keys is Kazaguruma, which can refer to a windmill, a pinwheel toy, or a type of clematis flower, whose petals are said to resemble the childhood toy. Have you noticed how much this game is centered upon flowers? When Mio and Mayu enter the village through the woods, the first section they pass through is Misono Hill. The term Misono refers to an imperial garden or park. Once the term was used solely for sacred land belonging to the heavens, but in modern times it's a term for a garden. Even the terrible ritual itself has a connection to flowers, because the kanji used to mean deep red is also the name of a flower, the benibana, a safflower used to create red dyes. One of the clans in this story shares its name with a historical clan of the Heian era. However, there is a telling difference: the kanji used to write the name. The ancient clan used Tachibana, but in Fatal Frame, the Tachibana clan name is written Tachibana. It contains the kanji for flower and to stand, to rise up. It refers to tatebana, standing flowers, a term used in the art of Japanese flower arranging, or ikebana. Ikebana means arranging flowers or making flowers alive. The tradition began as an offering to the gods called yorishiro. It involved decorating evergreen trees with flowers to beckon the gods to come. Ikebana in general is an artistic tradition focused on creating art in flower arrangements. Each flower has a meaning and acts in concert with the others. In religious traditions like Buddhism, the art takes on an even heavier symbolic meaning. A flower is a part of the natural world and blooms in its proper time. It is at peace with the cycle of life. When you cut the flower down, however, it does not immediately waste away and die as an animal or person would. Instead, it continues to bloom, being both dead and seemingly alive. In religious traditions especially, it symbolizes the kind of ascension of the gods spoken of in many traditions. The bodhisattvas who are enlightened yet linger in the world. The kami who are enshrined in this world and ascend into another. The flower becomes a symbol of the gods. When you consider the central symbol of this game is the butterfly, It becomes clear why flowers and gardens are so central to the imagery of Fatal Frame 2. Butterflies are pollinators. They live off the offerings of flowers. The people of the village, heavily associated with flower language, are the flowers which feed the butterflies. And in Ikebana and Buddhism, the way the flower continues to bloom in death has heavy religious overtones that easily tie into the twin girls, both dead and alive. Even the exit to the village is related to the theme. Leaving the garden leads to death. The tree with the secret passage is decaying, and the nearby shrine, Kureha Shrine, is named for the turning of the leaves at autumn, the time when plants start dying. Throughout the Lost Village, the player can find a round statue engraved with twin figures, one of which is missing a head. They represent the sacrificed twins and are based on Japanese dosogen, stone markers placed along roads and entrances to protect against malicious spirits. These stone statues can be depictions of a variety of different gods, typically a male and female couple. The one most related to this game would be Jizo, the protector of children. Originally an Indian deity which traveled to Japan via Buddhism, Jizo is a bodhisattva, a being who is capable of reaching nirvana, who has waited to ascend in order to remain to help those still in samsara, or the cycles of life. In Japan, he's best known as the guardian of children, particularly those who have died. In Fatal Frame 2, it is primarily teens and children who are sacrificed for the ritual, and the stone statues representing them resemble the god that protects children. In Japanese, the twin statue key is referred to as Futago Jizo no Kagi, or the twin Jizo key. However, Jizo is not the only dosogen that is possibly referenced in the game. Remember the Siddham symbol on the veiled priests? The symbol that appears on the veil is almost certainly a seed syllable, a Siddham symbol used to represent a Buddha or Bodhisattva, embodying their spirit. The symbol appears to be the seed syllable for Bato Kannon, the fierce variety of the goddess of mercy, Kannon. Also known as Horsehead Kannon, she is the guardian of the animal realm and protector of horses, and just like Jizo, she is one of the most common Buddhist figures to appear on Dosogen, guardians of the road. Because horses were so heavily associated with travel and often died on the roadside, Horsehead Kannon was placed alongside roads to honor and protect them. The threat of the first Fatal Frame was malice, a translation of a specific Shinto term. This time, the terms associated with the otherworldly threat are Buddhist ones. The evil force threatening the village is called the Darkness. The kanji used is yami, and in Buddhist tradition is often used as a metaphor for worldly desires and the dangers they pose. The hellish abyss is referred to as utsu. It can be read as uro, a hollow cavity, or kyo, a falsehood, but it can also be read as sora, or sky. In that way, it represents emptiness as a concept, and sora has long been used as a translation of the Buddhist term sunyata. Sunyata is a Mahayanist Buddhist concept, most often translated in English as emptiness. It is the belief that nothing in this universe exists solely as an independent creation of its own. Nothing is self-created. In Sunyata, the entire existence of the universe is described as empty because it is empty of self-existence. Everything relies on everything else. Taken further, the concept is used to explore the conceptual connections throughout the world. Opposing forces are not actually separate entities, because one does not exist without the other. Things which seem different, I and you, night and day, are in the ultimate reality understood to be the same. The veiled priests have sutras written on their skin, probably referencing Hoichi the Earless. Well, what sutra was written on Hoichi? It was the Heart Sutra, which is heavily related to Sunyata and is one of the most widely known Mahayana sutras. Form is emptiness, emptiness is form. This famous line is oft-quoted and heavily symbolic in Buddhist traditions. It's a summary of Sunyata. Everything is empty of intrinsic existence. So form is itself emptiness, and it is empty. The leader of this cursed village is the head of the Kurosawa family, Ryokan Kurosawa. He shares his name with a Japanese historical figure. Ryokan Taigu was an 18th century monk of the Soto Zen school, another school of Mahayana Buddhism. A famous document from the Soto Zen school is a poem, Sandokai, which discusses non-duality, the Mahayana idea that nothing is actually separate or opposite. Each and all, the subjective and objective spheres are related, and at the same time independent, related yet working differently, though each keeps its own place. Form makes the character and appearance different. Sounds distinguish comfort and discomfort. Taisetsu Uno, a Shin Buddhist writer, describes non-duality in this way. Mahayana teaching of the non-duality of samsara and nirvana, delusion and enlightenment, rubble and gold. This is not a simple identity, for it involves a dialectical tension between the two poles, between limited karmic beings and unbounded compassion. The two remain separate, yet they are one. They are one, yet always remain separate. In certain Mahayana sects, the concept of the Buddha or Bodhisattva is one which is present and otherworldly, both near and far away. The Buddha has reached nirvana, but chosen to remain in this realm to aid us. So he is in another spiritual realm beyond us, yet also here with us every day, both present and absent. The ascended God exists in a dual plane, in the same way the twins do. The twins are one yet not. They are one yet remain separate. The successful ritual creates a paired deity, one that must be detached enough from worldly desires to succeed. Utsuki and Mutsuki loved each other too much. Yae wanted to live too desperately. Only Mio and Mayu, a pair of twins with a rather interesting dynamic, are detached enough to successfully complete the ritual. Mayu doesn't want to be alive. She wants Mio to kill her. And Mio, unable to resist her sister, does so. They ascend. The crimson ritual is complete. Another butterfly is born.